here we are, our chance to do our one-on-one chat with some of our great listeners, and I get to kick it off with Ian Mahan. Ian, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, you got that right on.
All right, Ian Mahan. You went to CSU. Mm-hmm. You're a local musician. Let's start right there. What kind of music do you do?
It's singer-songwriter type stuff. So things that kind of the way I like to talk about it is if you like drinking red wine and eating a canister of whipped cream, I'm your kind of musician. So pretty depressing stuff, but also really soft and whispery. Johnny can attest to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, is it like the blues or just even more?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think some people would maybe say it sounds, maybe sounds like Damien Rice or Glenn Hansard or you know, kind of a softer version of Death Cab for Cutie at times. So we're just name dropping a bunch of artists and bands now.
Do you? I mean, are you lead singer? Do you instruments? Do you do? A little bit of everything?
Yeah, so I sing and I play guitar. I write all my own music. I do play some covers. I have a few albums out there. I'm not hard to track down. And I've played most of Denver's, you know, most incredible music venues: the Bluebird, Lost Lake, Larimer Lounge, the Gothic Theater. So I've kind of been around for a while and kind of making a go of it.
Yeah, I mean, how would you describe the Denver sport music scene? I mean, I've been here for a little over 20 years, and it seems like it's it's above average. Would you say?
Yeah, it's got a niche. It's definitely not the Denver sports scene, and so you know I kind of have to take into account both of like I have passions in both, but yeah, no, the Denver music scene it's pretty strong. They have some pretty wonderful festivals that occur here. The Underground Music Showcase, which seems to be a little bit on pause this year, just because of everything currently going on. But it's a pretty exceptional music festival that takes place on the South Broadway street and the lag of South Broadway there, and all the bars, restaurants, they all set up as a music venue, and all of the best artists in Denver get to play that festival.
You know, I was talking about this with somebody, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I would think that, you know, musicians, writers, you're so creative, but you know, to be able to find that time, that space to find that creativity can be challenging in a busy time. I'm wondering, like, my thought is that with everything being shut down, that 6 months from now, 7 months from now, we're going to see a big explosion of new music and really good music because of people who've had so much time to just kind of, you know, sit, reflect, and write.
Yeah, you know, I think you might be surprised at how much of an explosion. I don't know that it's going to be as big as you might anticipate. I would maybe say cut that in half, maybe by 50%, because for every musician that is finding, you know, success in the solitude and kind of the quietness of everything that's happening right now, there are musicians like me who thrive on being a little more social and creating social atmospheres. And so this hasn't really prompted many writing sessions in my life right now. So it's been a little bit of the vice versa for me, and just I haven't been able to kind of write as much as I'd like to, but I think that's okay. I think
so you need like a little bit of buzz going around you, huh? Yeah, that's interesting, because I would think that writers, whether it's writing a book or an article or music, would need that solitude. But you're saying you thrive on it the other way.
Yeah, you know, I write about life, and life's a little bit on pause right now. Right. You know, so that's the hang up right now for me as far as creating goes.
Well, anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to ask me? I mean, shoot.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, sports also on hold, a lot like music right now. How are you coping? Are you doing rewatches of, you know, old games, classic games? Have you dove into, you know, watching chess matches yet? where are you at as far as, you know, desperation for sports, or you know, what are you anticipating kind of coming up? And
I think, first of all, the big thing is to think thank goodness for the NFL. Thank goodness that the NFL was business as usual, because we'd really be hurting if they weren't. But the fact that they went right into free agency like normal, that they went into the draft and all the draft preparation. So, we talk a lot of Broncos anyway, so this hasn't really changed what we would normally do. So from that standpoint, it's been business as usual. But no, as far as, it's funny because like when the draft came on, I found myself like, I can't believe how much I craved anything that was live, a live sporting event. And even though it wasn't a sporting event, it was an event. And, I watched more of it than I ever have, just because I was craving something that wasn't scripted or I didn't know the result of. But I have enjoyed watching some of the classics. I will admit I haven't gone crazy with it.
Sure.
But I have found, like, during the time that March Madness was supposed to be on, when they were showing some of the classic Villanova, Georgetown, Duke, Kentucky, the Christian Laettner shot, some of those games I found myself watching. But, am I interested in watching a Nuggets or an Avalanche game from last year? No, but if it was like a classic, I watched the game 7 of the Avalanche beating New Jersey for the cup back in 01, Ray Bourque lifting the cup up. So that was fun, but I'm ready. I'm ready for something to come. I'm ready for it to come back, even if it isn't going to have fans in the stands. I know the novelty of it might wear off after a while, and it might be a little bit like, this sucks. This isn't what I'm used to, but I'll take it for the time being.
Yeah, I resonate with that, with the drafts, especially. Just it provided some sense of normalcy. And I was texting friends of mine as well, and I was just saying, hey, like, I didn't realize how bad I needed this until the draft happened. And it, as an NFL fan, there's obviously the quarrels with Roger Goodell as commissioner, but I was so appreciative of how he handled everything for this, that I was like, wow, like, for this year, I think I can be a Roger Goodell fan, just as the commissioner. But
yeah, you make a great point. I don't know if his, if they ever do like any kind of political, popularity rate or anything like that, but I got to believe his stock went up pretty high, because he did come across as incredibly regular, and he's sitting in his easy chair there as the draft went along. It looked like he was ready to fall asleep, or put a blanket over him. It looked like he was getting a little little drafty there, and he was ready for a little nappy while he was calling out the names.
It was very very almost Mr. Rogers like, as the draft wound down, like, okay, he's taking off his shoes, he's now changing his cardigan. And for me to say that, I'm not sure how much you were prefaced from Johnny over there on my football fandom, but I'm a Patriots fan, so like, for me to to even admit that, even just a little bit, is one of those things where I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I missed Roger Goodell's face.
Just didn't have the clown nose on it, right?
And I mean, it's fun and all, but that's a little overboard. And to kind of go back to something that's live, I think something that has really kind of gotten me geared up and ready for something to come back is The Last Dance. I'm not sure if you've kept up with it, but having new episodes of that, I'm so sad that this coming Sunday it's gonna all come winding down. But man, that's been a huge motivational thing for me to want to like have sports back in my life. And it's been, I'm still just waiting for the episode where I don't like Michael Jordan, but it hasn't come yet. So it's,
it's been interesting for me, because having lived, the Michael Jordan era and had a chance to cover a lot of it. Like my first job out of college, I was 2 weeks out of college, and I was in LA covering the Bulls and the Lakers in the finals. So that was Magic and Michael. And, when he won his first championship, I was in the locker room, and, the image of him, cradling the trophy, I'm literally over his left shoulder about 3-4 feet away. And
Wow.
so to be able to watch that and get the behind the scenes of what was going on, in addition to what I got a chance to see, and also what we all saw as fans, it's been really revealing. And what kind of competitor he was, and how ruthless he was, and the fact that he was unapologetic about his style, and how consumed he was with winning, and how he had this pursuit of winning, and you were either with him or you weren't. And if you couldn't handle his style, then too bad, get out, get off. And I've always been a believer that Jordan is the greatest of all time, with a nod to guys like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird as well. But no disrespect to the Kobe's of the world, the LeBrons of the world, but especially the whole LeBron versus Michael debate. I think that as we've watched this Last Dance play out, to me, it just, argument's over, debate's over.
Yeah,
because Jordan, I don't know. There's an attitude, there's a mindset about Jordan that he's the original. I mean, he's the original.
Yeah.
Kobe, at least Kobe, to his credit, came out and admitted that, look, I basically copied everything, that Michael did. Whereas LeBron, LeBron hasn't, and that's led to the comparisons between LeBron and Michael. And I think it's pretty obvious that when you watch this, there's no doubt that Jordan was the original, and Jordan was the greatest.
Yeah, I actually said the same thing to a friend of mine who actually used to be an NBA scout. We texted back and forth, and I said, I think the argument is over. If there ever was one in your mind, I think the argument's over. And I think you're 100% right. The mentality, and that's kind of been inspiring during all of this to me specifically, as as somebody who creates, and as somebody who wants to be very good at doing something. Watching this, I remember the last three-peat of the Jordan era. I lived in Illinois during that time. That's where I'm originally from, and I remember that last three-peat so well. And so the first three-peat for me is just kind of faded memories and just knowing what happened, but seeing all of this play out and seeing his mentality, not just for 3-year stretches at a time, but for his entire career and on and off the court in everything he did, has been so inspiring during all of this that it's made me want to run through walls and do 100 push-ups every day, but also at the same time, like, be very good and be very intentional about what I'm doing moving forward in my life. And I think it's been one of the most revelatory viewing experiences I've ever had, and it's been absolutely solid. So I'm glad to hear you're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, it has been inspiring from the standpoint that you look at these all-time greats and the greatest of all time, and you get, I think, some insight into not only what makes them tick, but the understanding that it wasn't just God-given talent that got them to this level. It wasn't like they just went out and did all this, without any effort. I mean, they put in the work, not only physically, but mentally. And they had that edge of whether it was fear of failure or just consumed with winning, what it took to drive them. And you get a sense that the people that are most successful in sports, or most successful in whatever line of work that they're in, that there has to be those motivating forces that go beyond just whatever your talent may be, and what drives you, what fuels your work ethic, the root. I mean, I've learned so much watching this, and I have such great appreciation for his parents and the way that he was raised, and kind of that, no nonsense. Hey, you're going to work hard. You're going to be accountable. There won't be excuses. And you realize that was kind of the bedrock, the foundation of, what makes this guy what he was. And just that single-mindedness of, I only have one goal in mind, and how he would go after it it's been fun to watch. It's been fun.
Yeah,
to watch.
the tunnel vision is by far, I think, the greatest part of it, and the soundtrack. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I'm all in on the soundtrack right now.
yeah. No, it's been great. I've loved it. I mean, it is. It's. I mean, as a music guy, I mean, I've always enjoyed sort of the VH1 behind the music type stories. I love that kind of stuff. It's what made
right.
Whether it's like Queen, the Queen Freddie Mercury story or anything like that, the Elton John story. I love these glimpses into what made these guys, made these figures what they were, what their backstory is, what their stories are. And
right.
it makes me wanting more. I'm going to be really sad when this thing is over. And
I know
it's kind of fueled my desire to have more of these kind of documentaries, just to, find more figures, find more stories that are compelling that we want to learn more about. So it's just kind of whet my appetite for more.
No, I totally agree. I think it's been something that has definitely saved a lot of sports fans and their mentality during this whole thing.
Yeah. It was a perfect time for it to come out.
I know.
I don't know if this had come out just, we're in the, I mean, when was it? Was it originally supposed to come out? No, it was originally supposed to come out in June, right after the NBA season. So, I mean, it still would have been impactful, but we'd have had baseball going on and golf and all these other sports. I think it would have been diluted a little bit. But the fact that it's been sort of like the only show in town has just made it awesome.
And I think it kind of harkens back to exactly how he was when he was playing. He was the only show in town.
Yeah,
so that's a good way to put that. And that's a great way to put it. Yeah, no, it's been awesome. So I'm sad for it to end, but I'm ready for more documentaries like this and kind of more behind the scenes. I think it now really has a place among sports fans. Just because of this one.
And I love great storytelling, and whether it's that whole creative process and, how this thing has been put together and the scope of the reporting, not the reporting, but, the people that were talked to and all the different viewpoints and, people that they've talked to that all of a sudden have popped up on the screen. You're like, wow, they talked to him. They went this detailed. And I really appreciate the detailed nature of what they did. And I know there's been a little bit of blowback that, well, Jordan ultimately had ultimate say. So how honest is it? But, I wanted to hear Jordan's view of all this. I wanted to hear it from Jordan.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to have people, weighing in on Jordan. I want to hear Jordan's side of it.
Right. I feel like it's pretty honest. I feel like there are moments where I'm like, wow, Mike, you're kind of a jerk, but I still appreciate the perspective, and I think he's been more than honest. So it's been an incredible experience so far.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anything else you want to touch on?
Well, not much. I mean, are you a fan of the Denver teams? I mean, are you hopeful for the Nuggets?
Yeah,
the Avs?
Yeah, I am. So I'm exceptionally hopeful for the Avalanche and the Nuggets this coming year. I pull for the Broncos when they're not playing New England, but I live here. I've lived here for a long time. I like seeing the sports teams in Denver do really, really well. And I'm extremely hopeful for the Avalanche this year. I think they've got, an exceptional team that, had the playoffs been able to continue as normal, there would have been a massive deep cup run. So I think, looking forward to next year, we're looking at an extremely deep playoff run, if not a Stanley Cup Finals team.
Yeah, I think
that's my stance on them.
Yeah, I think they're built to win now. I mean, I don't know about the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are still missing another piece or two. But to me, the Avalanche, they check a lot of the boxes when it comes to what you need to be able to make a deep run. So, I'm hopeful that we'll get the NBA and NHL back and have some sense of a playoff run. It'd be it'd be fun to watch. It's funny. It seems like baseball's making all the news right now about restarting, and the NBA and the NHL's kind of quiet, which I kind of wonder what's up with that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. I know that, you know, some teams are kind of bagging it in. I know that Steve Kerr had kind of mentioned that the Warriors are treating this exactly like, you know, the season's over, which is fine. And, you know, there was, you know, comments earlier on ESPN about, you know, you should just scrap the season because if a title's won, there's an asterisk next to it. I mean, that's nice to think about, but I think, you know, there are some players that still would actually like to finish the season out and be able to, you know, and who have worked to keep their bodies in shape and to keep in-season shape going. And so I understand maybe half of the viewpoint of scrapping it, but I also understand it from the perspective of I'd really like to finish this season out. You know, so both sides of the coin, I think, are extremely important and extremely valuable to kind of consider. And I'm with you. I see baseball kind of taking over the entire thing right now with the proposal to begin in July, which is a heck of a time if you're used to sitting in high up seats in altitude at Coors Field to be sitting in the sun to start a season.
Well, the good news is that
nice.
the good news is if there are fans at games, I think you're going to be spread out. So you could probably go find a, you know, shady spot if need be. Well, hey, listen, I've really enjoyed doing this and getting a chance to hang out, and I think it's awesome that we get a chance to talk face to face with some of you guys. So I really appreciate you listening and taking the time and giving a chance.
Big fan.
Learn a little bit about you. So
yeah, I'm a big fan. You do great work.
Well, thank you, Ian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And you guys, folks, by the way, you guys can follow Ian and his music career and everything he's got going on. Follow him on Twitter at Ian Mahan Music, and that's IANMAHAN Music. And you know, see what you got.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that.
All right, take care, Ian.
Thank you.